This is Eric Bolling's show on and George Papadopoulos, of all fucking people, saying Putin is calling Biden on his bluff. Well, the presumption is that Biden is bluffing, and so far he fucking isn't. Laura, thank you so much for the super chat, by the way. And Sarah, thank you for the 666. I appreciate that. Candy, bless you for that, for the super chat. Marcia, thank you for the pounds. Happy New Year. Lene, thank you. Foggy, yay, bye-bye, 2021. Be good to us, 2022, exactly. Thank you, Al Spear. Thank you, Rabbit Socks, Devin. That sounds weird when I say it out loud. And the artist formerly known as Craig has been a member for 8 months. Congratulations. You are the sole winner of, hold on.
5 eggs.
Congratulations. You've won. There you go. 5 eggs. That's what you wanted for your award. By the way, that's what I had for lunch. I'm just saying. I boiled some eggs for Summer before she went to work, and I made 5 for myself and ate them. And it's hard to eat 5 eggs now and not laugh.
5 eggs.
Because I literally look in the bowl. All right, here we go. This is on Newsmax again. Putin is calling Biden on his bluff. I mean, they are straight up. Is there a difference between Newsmax and RT at this point? I mean, what the people on RT get paid directly by the Russian government. What does Newsmax get paid in fucking Doge or Bitcoin, and then they convert it?
Well, I would say that the weak and the feckless leadership of the Biden administration
are wholly responsible for the fact that I have no artwork and I'm alone in this hotel room. Obviously things are going very well. That's why I'm doing this live from the FBI came in here and stripped everything off the walls. I wouldn't call this the best Western I've ever been in.
Exactly what's invited this disaster along Ukraine's eastern border, and what Putin has actually been doing is very consistent ever since Joe Biden has been in leadership positions. We can't.
Right, because he strategically thought, I'm going to make a move. I'm going to give this a try. And the last dude, I didn't have to do any of that stuff. I could make all my money the other way, and I could count on him to undercut Ukraine. But now Biden's in. If I want to undercut Ukraine at all, I'm going to have to do it in person.
Forget that it was in 2014, while Joe Biden was vice president of the United States.
Yes, while he was vice president of the United States. While he was vice president. Was he president then? Because he was vice president when he said the surge was a mistake, and he was right.
That Vladimir Putin seized Crimea and initiated the war in the East. And now, the only difference between what exactly happened in 2014 and now is that Joe Biden is openly threatening Vladimir Putin with overt sanctions and a complete deterioration in relations between the United States and Russia. And Vladimir Putin is calling him on his bluff. And this is something.
How is he calling him on his bluff? What makes it a fucking bluff? I mean, this assertion that it's a bluff is kind of the weird bullshit about this. And he's not calling him on his bluff. As a matter of fact, he's calling him on the fucking phone. He literally just called him and was like, hey, can we talk some shit, man? Because I don't really, this whole thing is going kind of sideways on me. And I've got, hey, you got time like next Wednesday or something like that? And then maybe after we're done speaking together about this, after I call you, and then have your people call my people, and then we'll, he's not calling his fucking bluff. He's calling his red line. Calling his bluff. Jesus Christ. Pull your lips off the Putin anus pipe, pal.
I believe does more to diminish America's standing in the world, more so than possibly even the Afghanistan withdrawal, considering that
considering the Afghan withdrawal did not diminish us in the world at all. As a matter of fact, by the way, it's you know what's special about today? Anybody want to guess what's special about today? It's also what's special about yesterday and the day before and every day going back to August 31st. Anybody want to venture a guess? I'll help you out. We're not dumping $300 million every day into Afghanistan. Today Today is yet another day that we are not spending $300 fucking million in Afghanistan. We didn't do that today. We didn't do it yesterday or the day before that. And we haven't been doing it since August 31st, arguably a little bit before that. We're fucking out. We're not at war. We're out of Afghanistan. We're fucking out. It didn't diminish us. It screwed Putin and Xi because now they have two fronts they have to deal with. Because ISIS-K and Etim and the members of Al Qaeda and other folks who are pissed about how China is handling the Uyghur Muslims are all funneling through that zone, and all the Muslims that don't like how Russia treated the Chechen rebels are all funneling up through fucking Uzbekistan. It ain't our problem anymore, fucko. And we got a bunch of our folks out, and eventually there will be Afghans that once we, because they got to follow certain rules to be able to get international aid, and the UN won't send in the aid until they guarantee it's actually going to be used to feed people for real. They're not going to give them cash. Here's some food, eat it. But that stuff's not going to come in unless there's some guarantees. And those guarantees have slowly but surely started to be made possible. And amongst them are people can fucking fly out if they want. So the people that are trapped there through aid organizations and others who are Afghans, this is not Americans trapped there and that whole bullshit run from Hannity and fucking Glenn Beck, but Afghans who are just tribal members of groups that happen to be boxed in by the borders of Afghanistan that don't view themselves as citizens of Afghanistan, if that's even a fucking thing, that members of those tribes can leave and go someplace where their wives and daughters will be safe and allowed to educate themselves over time. That's going to be part of our negotiation with the Afghan government, while Russia and China are dealing with the blowback from their own bullshit with the Uyghurs and the Chechens. They're laughing at us, fuck, dude. Those tears aren't from laughter.
States is potentially facing a two-front conflict with both China and Russia simultaneously.
Yeah. Sorry. Did he just admit to that, or did he try to?
Let's take a listen to Rick Grinnell. Rick Grinnell, I believe it was yesterday, had some.
First of all, why the fuck would we listen to Rick Grinnell? Hold on, back up.
More so than possibly even the Afghanistan withdrawal, considering that the United States is potentially facing a two-front conflict with both China and Russia simultaneously.
What? First of all, how would our problems with Russia or China differ if we weren't in Afghanistan? Just being in Afghanistan didn't make those things go away. As a matter of fact, it was a proxy point where they could both make us spend a shit ton of money making no progress. Basically just like laughing while we dig our wheels into the snowbank. So why does that help us? And again, do these fuckers, they can't not know. There's no way Papadopoulos, because he fucking travels to Russia all the time, there's no way he doesn't know the shitstorm that's happening there. Internal opposition to Vladimir Putin, and the fact that he has to deal with people like Alexei Navalny the way he does. He can't have legit elections because if he had one, he would lose in a heartbeat. Xi Jinping is going through the exact same fucking thing right now. Huge blackouts. Factories are leaving en masse. They're moving to Vietnam and South Korea and Taiwan and the U.S. How fucking crazy is that? You know how bad the expense sheet has to be for you to move your factory from China to the U.S. That you're like, yeah, I'm willing to pay union wages because ultimately having my factory in that country is going to cost me more in the long run. George Papadopoulos was one of the first people tried in the he was one of the people in the original Russiagate.
Let's take a listen to Rick Grinnell. Rick Grinnell, I believe it was yesterday.
First of all, you have to tell me why we should be listening to Rick Grinnell. Sorry, what has Rick Grinnell ever been right about?
Had something to say about this whole situation. Take a listen.
President Putin knows right now that the United States doesn't have a policy, that it's only going to go along with the Europeans. This
again, no. Us collaborating with our European partners and with other democracies is the whole fucking point. So we don't have to shoulder the entire burden of it ourselves, and at the same time, we coordinate with people. Yes, oh, that's a good point. We are also not spending money on Trump's stupid wall. Texas is. Knock yourself out, guys. Well, by the way, while Greg Abbott is saying we're spending all this money we're going to build our own state wall at the district, they're now asking the federal government for more COVID supplies. And you know what? They ought to get them. Because again, I don't need my political opponents to die because they're stupid or crazy or gullible. It's not a capital offense. I'd rather argue politics with a living person. I don't give a fuck how dumb you are. I don't want you to die. Period. End of story. That's how I live. That's what my values mean. And it will always be that way. And it aggravates some people. I have you want to know a red line? That's my fucking red line.
been an instruction from
And actually, it's sort of a mauve. It's like a purplish red line, if I got to be completely honest. It's striking. It looks good.
the State Department to our embassies, and I think it's really a low point. I think it gives up the ability of the United States to have a policy. It certainly isn't putting America first.
Based on fucking what? How are we following the Europeans in this? I'm dead serious. I have not seen, no pun intended, I have not seen any example in this other than this kind of like, it's weak to, that if we're listening to Europe or we're talking, no, the idea is that if we talk to Europe, because they are presenting this idea that Biden is feckless and weak and stuff, and they're selling this point, they have to also assume that the phone only works one direction going into the White House. He just, what? Yeah, I'll do that. Sure. I'll do that. Because that's how Trump worked with his fucking donors. That's how Grinnell watched Trump work with all the people he owed money to or he was scared of. And so they have to assume that's how Biden works. And it's also what they're selling.
You know, and so, Fred, let's start with you. It is.
No, Eric. Let's start with your weird, psychotic uplighting. What is happening? I mean, you look like a game show host doing a cover of Mama by Genesis. Ow.
Obvious to any foreign policy watcher that under President Trump,
Yes, there were multiple presidents Trump. There was Ivanka. There was Eric.
There was trust but verify going back and forth with Putin and Trump. And now it seems like as soon as Trump leaves office, there's a constant.
Yeah, there's no trust. We know better than to trust him. We'll just, how about this? We're going to stick with verify for a fucking while.
Testing of the U.S. will, of Biden's U.S. will, what will or what will he not do by Putin and as we get to others in a minute, but any coincidence that Trump leaves, Biden comes in, and all of a sudden Putin starts to act up?
Oh, no, I don't think it's a coincidence at all. And I think Ambassador Grinnell is up to something. I believe.
Yes, I by the way, I agree. Look at that. Me and Fred, we both agree. I think Grinnell is up to something. Now, Fred might be dumb and mean on to something. But I think his Freudian slip teaches us all a valuable lesson about how Fred, as a former CIA analyst, we now know why he couldn't keep his job. Because he once wrote in a CIA memo that meaning to tell someone that I think they're on to us, and he wrote that I think they're up to us, and an agent lost their life. Oh, thank you, Benny Loco. Hope you're well. Much love. Merry Christmas and Happy New Year, and we've seen you since Christmas, but I just want to say it. All right.
Troops amassed on the Ukraine border probably are not there to invade.
I feel like I haven't seen you in like 3 days, so and I have no sense of time, and we have 9 Christmases in my family, so.
I think they're a bargaining chip, not just to get huge concessions from Biden, but to divide NATO, to divide the United States from NATO.
Fucko, what do you mean divide NATO? Grinnell's making the point that the Europeans are together bullying Biden into doing what they want. What the fuck do you mean divide? They're not splitting NATO. What is that?
And that's already happening. Biden is making
And by the way, that's a typo as well. It should say anal cyst.
and statements to the Russians without clearing them with NATO.
I'm sorry. That was wrong of me.
Or NATO states, especially states in the eastern areas of NATO, they're not happy about it. And I think you can see Putin exploiting this weakness, exploiting this confused American.
Exploiting, I think, is the word he said. It sounds like exploding, but I think he means
foreign policy with great effect.
Dude, I'm sorry. We appreciate your time working at the CIA, but your inability to actually articulate words is getting people fucking killed. So could you please leave and go live in a closet full of diplomas at some point? Thank you. Yes? Goodbye. Also, what kind of CIA analyst has his back to the fucking door? I mean, honestly. Fucking maps on the wall. Like, I'm playing Risk. I'm playing 7-degree chess, you know, with Risk at the same time. Seriously. I have a hard time, and I'm just a big feng shui fan. I have a door to my side, and I'm like, who the fuck, who the fuck, all the time. Can you imagine being in the CIA and having your back to 2 doors? Honest to God. Look at this. The big one, not him, the big door, and then this door over here. Dude can get fucking bum rushed in his own office. Turn your desk around, dum-dum. They're both toilets. Yeah, Casey gets tired of shit in the bed with his opinions.
No, and George, let's talk a little bit about something else. Another front that it looks like Biden is weak, and it looks like another world leader is pushing the envelope with Biden to see.
Let me see. President Xi.
How strong he is and how strong he'll react. And I'm talking about China and President Xi.
Yeah, right. Chairman Xi, by the way, not president. Chairman Xi. Stop calling him president. Chairman Xi. He's not a fucking president. He wasn't elected. Presidents are elected. He's a fucking chairman. Stop calling him President Xi. I don't get what the fuck that is about. And they need to stop doing it in the State Department. They need to stop doing it in the news. Chairman. He's the fucking chairman. He's the chairman of the Communist Party. He's not a fucking president. Nobody elected him. Fuck off with that nonsense.
I mean, there's no coincidence that the same month, Vladimir Putin and President Xi are both testing the will of the United States. And
well, yeah. So fucking what? Have they made any progress in that? Here's what happened. Okay, god damn it. We've covered this before, but I think because in this particular situation, it's important to point out. We're currently, I just showed you the articles with Putin where, Biden and the State Department in Russia, they, instigated this call back and forth to tell him to knock it off. And then we just started moving ahead with sanctions. We put those sanctions on the insurance companies as far as Nord Stream, so nobody can cover it. Insurance companies that cover the actual pipeline itself, the construction of it, the finishing of it, any of the other, ensuring the financial aspects of it, none of that is allowed. And now Putin's calling him on the fucking phone going, hey, can you ease up on that? No. And so he's already, that's the response. Putin's been testing Biden, and Biden's been pushing back and saying, no, we're not going to even negotiate a release, an ease of sanctions and any of this shit while you're escalating troops. You start backing those fuckers out of there, and you keep doing it while we're talking, and that's strategy. So the same thing happens. She comes in, when Biden comes in and she starts testing him, right? That was the idea. They're going to fly shit over there. Hold on. I want to do 2 things. I don't want to just pull this one story up. Let's see. UK, US, ships, Taiwan. Okay. So Xi Jinping, is making moves. This is the point they're about to make. Okay, and I want you, while you listen to this bloviating horseshit from these two people who are guaranteed going to be talking out of their ass. Now, the difference is either they're ignorant or they literally don't want Newsmax viewers to check this shit at all. So Xi Jinping, yes, when Biden gets in, tests the waters. How strong is Biden going to be? And Biden comes out and says, yeah, if they invade Taiwan, we'll defend Taiwan. And everybody in the State Department's like, easy, easy, easy. You know, and the whole, remember when Trump was like, it's kind of like gunslinger democracy or diplomacy. He's, he comes out all threatening and then they walk it back. And that's just how he works because he's a shoot from the hip kind of guy. And then Biden does it and they're like, he doesn't know what he's talking about. Well, he does know what he's talking about. He did it with gay marriage. He was like, yeah, I'm for it. Absolutely. Before anybody else was like, dude, we're not supposed to say that. He was against the surge, like I said, and he said it. And everybody's like, we're working on it. Shh, Joe. And the same thing happened in Taiwan. If China invades Taiwan, you bet your ass we're going to push back. Ships will be sunk, but we're not going to do it unilaterally. And because that's fucking dangerous. It makes us a singular target. We have nukes, they have nukes. It's a bad idea. However, as soon as she starts doing this around Taiwan, two major things happen from the Biden administration. Very distinct actions by the Biden administration. All right, by the Biden administration. Very different stuff, by the way, that Trump's White House could have done, and they did not. The first one, of course, being, and stuff I showed you this before, is the AUKUS agreement. Australia, UK, and US. Where we, and this pissed off France, you'll remember this, we're not going to have any relationship with our allies anymore. Remember, the same assholes are like, Europe is pulling Biden's strings, are the same people that are like, France is never going to be our friend again. Remember that shit? Like that talking point that blew its brains out about 2 months ago? AUKUS, we started giving Australia nuclear-powered submarines technology so that they could have silent running submarines to patrol their waters and the waters of India and the waters of Taiwan. This is October. 4 US, UK, and Japanese carriers patrolled north of Taiwan over the weekend. The subs circled the island, and these ships, two of them, went through the Strait of Formosa between China and Taiwan. They just floated right by. And that is, the ships, air carriers being what they are not enough to carry enough Chinese soldiers into Taiwan, and there's not enough of them that want to die to get Taiwan back. So they need ships. They want to roll in there and fire on the place, then invade. And they can't do that if US, UK, and Japanese subs and ships are in the area. And so we've been basically sailing through there going, hi, fuck you, and partnering with the US, with the UK and Japanese militaries. The Japanese have been even more forceful with their language because they're closer and they have disputed islands with China, and they've been into that shit, which is very close to this, the same kind of thing that's happening with Taiwan. So let me remind you that as soon as China started flying planes into, by the way, the Taiwanese air defense zone, not over Taiwan. No, there were no, as Trump's always like, they were flying bombers. They never flew bombers over Taiwan when I was president. They didn't fly them this time either. They just flew near the edge, the north edge. Well, the north edge is exactly where these fucking ships were. Now, one of the reasons they haven't flown back through that area is because they'd be flying over these fucking ships. So remember, they pushed Biden, and Biden jump-started the Quad, started the AUKUS agreement, gave nuclear-powered technology to the Australians. They allowed us to start parking our nuclear subs in Australia as a strategic point, and to help patrol the Indo-Pacific region, because there's a shit ton of piracy from Chinese ships and stuff that they have to deal with all the time. There's other countries that have that problem too, but they're not sanctioned by the government the way the Chinese ones are. And so we're working with India and the Quad and all that kind of stuff with these ships that are now parked in Perth, I think. And there's two other places where they, that may or may not be off the grid, as it were. China needs to invade somewhere. They're running out of women. No, they have to be Chinese women, because right now what you're seeing, unfortunately, is a rise in Han racism, because that's really what the root of the problem is right now. That's a longer story for that. Yeah. Parked in Perth, coming this spring to Netflix. Hi, sailor. Welcome aboard. Right? So I just want you guys to remember this shit. The AUKUS agreement, which is now in the process of happening. We are doing this. We have subs there. They drove the Chinese out of this one particular project near that port, so they can't be anywhere near. They were building it was part of the Belt and Road Initiative, where they were building like a highway or some shit. The Australians canceled the deal. And I guarantee some U.S. taxpayer funds sweetened the deal with the Australians. I don't doubt that for a second. G'day, Bruce. Bit crook, Bruce. And we started this deal with them. So that's currently happening. Okay, just so you know, that could have happened under Trump, right? What about this could not have happened? The technology they're talking about, we've been using, and we gave to the UK in 1953, 55, 55, 53. When was it? 2016. Do they have it in here? Nope, doesn't say it. So somewhere around there, mid 50s, we gave that technology to the UK. We're now giving it to Australia, and the UK and the US and Australia will be building those ships together, and they will be built in Australia using Australian workers and the like, so they're less reliant on, wait for it, Chinese money. So there you go. All right. Happy 2022. It's just fun. All right. So anyways, to our Australian friends, welcome aboard. And then this happened. And since this happened, have you heard about Chinese flights over Taiwan lately, in the last 2 months? Since this happened, this is October. Remember, when was the last time, other than Newsmax telling you that it's happening all the time, or that it happened and it's happening all the time? When's the last time you heard of this, of airplanes flying over? Right about this time. It stopped. Bruce is in charge of the sheep dip. This is the... Bruce, say the prayer. All right. Crack the tubes. So, I want you to remember the AUKUS agreement, the reinstigation of the Quad, and the UK, the United States, and Japan sending ships to surround Taiwan and move through the Formosa Strait. Just have those in your head as these two fuckos start telling you what time it is.
Joe Biden, if Xi goes into Taiwan, or if Putin goes into Ukraine, what's Biden going to do? What do you predict Biden will do, George?
I believe the hallmark of what the United States foreign policy posture regarding the U.S.-Russia relations under President Trump was exactly designed to prevent this ossified relationship, which we have witnessed over the past year between both Russia and China. And that's not simply in terms of the military sphere, but we've seen a massive energy deal to the tune of $400 billion inked between China and Russia at the same time.
Yeah. You know what we've also seen as far... Oh, God damn it. It always makes me have to go and look up other shit for you guys. It's just like, stick to one fucking dumb idea at a time. Chinese... You want to know why China just struck a deal with Russia for... hold on, let me find the newest one, because there's going to be a ton of these. Yeah, that's the Times of India. Hold on one second. So, let's see. Here we go. Well, I'll just do this one. You'll see what I mean, though. Bump. You know why they just signed this deal? Here's why they just signed the fucking deal. This is why. Because of internal policy in the fucking country and not enough energy. Because of flooding, a bunch of the biggest coal mines in the country have been flooded, and they run almost entirely on coal. They're giant swimming pools now. They're man-made lakes. Two of the biggest coal mines in China are man-made lakes now. They can't even think about draining them. Where's the energy going to come from for that many fucking people? I'll tell you where it's going to come from. Initially, it would come from Australia. Australia was the coal that China used the most, right? Do you guys know that? That China has beautiful, clean coal. China, Australian coal. So in October, because they were mad at Australia for a bunch of reasons, not the least of which was the AUKUS, and the fact that that Australia cut off some of the BRI, the Belt Road Initiative projects that they had there, because they're basically debt traps that the CCP is setting up. Australia went, nah, you know what, pass. And so they buy Australian clean coal, which apparently it's this blue coal that is the, here it is. China's facing worst power crisis in years due to a coal shortage. Why? Is it because they don't have coal in their fucking country? No, it's because they put 90, how many dams? Like, it's fucking ridiculous. Like, how many? All right, I'll look it up in a minute. But they have so many dams in the country that they've diverted all the water, and then when a bunch of them broke, they flooded the coal mines. So they have to get Australian coal. They always get it, but they needed way more. And then she got in a pissing contest with Australia. And then he's like, we're not buying any more Australian coal. And then the lights started to go fucking out. Huge cities in China were having enormous blackouts. They still are. They needed Australian coal so bad that Australia was selling coal to India, and China was buying it from the companies in India that were buying it from Australia as a proxy. You know how much India and China hate each other right now? China's just sent fucking robots in to kill Indian soldiers in the Himalayas. That's how bad they are. And yet they're buying coal from India so that they don't look like they're buying it from Australia. I'm not kidding. It's nuts. And it's all ego and bullshit. It has nothing to do with the Chinese people. They're trapped by this just like the Russians are. The Russian people are trapped by their government. The Chinese people are trapped by their government. It's fucked up. It's sad. But this is just goofy. Australia has the coal Beijing needs, but the world's second largest economy is unlikely to reverse an unofficial ban on Australian coal anytime soon. China stopped buying coal from Australia late last year after Canberra backed a call for international inquiry into how Beijing handled the COVID-19 outbreak. It's also because of the ongoing calls. Because we haven't stopped and they haven't stopped. And we're like, yeah, guys, eventually we're going to need to look at your books. Look how much fucking coal they produce in Australia. It's ridiculous. China's facing the worst power crisis in years due to coal shortage, while Australia has the coal Beijing needs. The world's second largest economy is unlike it. Okay, they I don't know why they doubled up on that. That's despite recent media reports suggesting that China was releasing small quantities of Australian coal that was stuck at Chinese ports for months due to the ban. Yeah, so they had a bunch of coal that they'd already bought, but they were like, we're not even going to use that coal. Oh, the Chinese people could have a revolution right now. That's the thing the Chinese government fears more than anything else, because it would take a matter of weeks for the CCP to fall, because no one would support it once it collapsed. It was overrun. And the Taiwanese government to go, hi, guys, would you like a strong democracy? We can help you put together your provinces. You guys, the local governors can handle them until we come in. We'd love to help you set you guys up with the help of everybody else. And then you got, if you want to stay together, if not, you could be 5 provinces. And then, like, Taiwan will just take over the 3, eastern side part where, and then you could leave the Western China to the Uzbekis and the Afghans. Because that's what it looks like if you go there. Shit, there are white Russian people who live on the Chinese side of the border in northern China, in northwestern China, that because the line was drawn, instantly became Chinese, even though they are ethnically Russians. There's some Chinese people who are on the north side of the border in some of the villages that are like Mongolians who are ethnically Chinese, but are Russians by citizenry because of the line drawn. Like, it's fucking dumb. It was so slapdash. It's ridiculous. Anyways, I digress, which will happen, as you know. Reports that small quantities... Okay, this is all this thing. Energy crunch. China relies heavily on coal for power generation. It's true. They've got a lot more nuclear plants, but they all suck. They got a really nice one that they just built that they basically stole half the tech, so nobody knows how to run it. So it's always on the verge of collapsing, which is really scary. That's another story for another time, too. Since mid-August, at least 20 provinces across the country have reported power cuts of varying extent. This is why they struck a deal with Russia for power. Because they used to get it from Australia. They can't now. They're going to get it from Russia, they hope. If Russia has enough. Russia doesn't have enough for its own citizens in some cases. But they'd rather have the money for the oligarchs, so they just sell it to Europe anyways.
Both are saber-rattling in the Taiwan Straits, eastern Ukraine, and we can't forget, of course, that Iran is once again saber-rattling and on the march towards a nuclear...
Yeah, because they have nothing else. Saber-rattling is a sign of weakness. If you don't believe me, ask the guy that Indiana Jones shot.
Weapon, all under the Biden administration. So while I don't think, of course, that Russia and China are hosting or holding secret talks regarding a potential simultaneous attack, they both do smell
blood in the water.
They do understand that Joe Biden is looking at a simultaneous attack. They both do smell blood in the water. They do understand that Joe Biden is looking at historic disapproval ratings. His vice president is also looking at historic disapproval ratings.
And if Biden had to fight the Russians coming in on Ukraine and the Chinese deciding to attack Taiwan at the exact same fucking time, if you don't think that Biden upping our military ante in both of those places, sending in drones and ships and authorizing U.S. Ships to fire on Chinese ships trying to get to Taiwan, if you don't think that wouldn't boost his fucking ratings amongst even the worst right-wingers, dude, you've got two rulers, three if you count Iran, trying to wag the dog so their own people don't eat them, and then you want to hand Biden a wag the dog? Fucking hell.
He's facing a lot of contentious issues domestically, including the border, inflation, and our standing in the world has been tarnished as a direct effect of this. And I think due to these...
No, it fucking well has not. The rest of the world is like, I don't know what the Americans are bitching about. We're all having a COVID surge because of Omicron, and their death rate's way down. We're all having inflation, and yet their economy is actually growing. It looks like we're going to grow 6% next year.
Weaknesses, you are seeing our main competitors, both in Asia and in Eastern Europe, and including the Middle East, testing Biden. And unfortunately, this leading from behind, we have seen this once before. It was while Joe Biden was the vice president, and it seems that his complete national security team is aloof to the dangers America faces abroad.
You just watched news.
Gibberish. Just for the record. Like, and again, I can't stress this enough. The idea that, hold on one second, this guy right here, boink. This is Biden's response to sheep saber rattling. And this is why China is striking deals with Russia. It's not, there's no backhanded deal. And as a matter of fact, they're adversaries about some stuff. And China has bigger fish to fry with water and India. That's a whole other monster. You think Biden has problems at home with anti-vaxxers on fucking Twitter? You think that's a real problem? While we're on the just how moronic Newsmax is, I mentioned this let's see. Into India. Yeah. Let's see. Yeah, here's MSN. This is the thing. Okay. China's sending killer robots with machine guns near Lak in Tibet to fuel conflict with India. This is not something you do if you feel completely secure in an area. And the reason they're doing it is because their soldiers are leaving. Their soldiers refuse to go into the area. Hold on. China deploys. Yeah, here you go. This is the same kind of thing. Gravitas. China deploys robot soldiers along the border with India. This is our favorite Patmi Lakshadmi. I'm gonna fuck up her name or whatever. She's our current news crush. This is, again, everybody's been talking about like Tibet, like this is some sort of like normal old-fashioned war of like cultures between China and Tibet. Nothing to do with it. It's water. And the irony that China's fighting this right now and their fucking country is flooding. Hal needs his own news network. Yeah, well, eventually. We'll get there. This part just, like, this nonsense just aggravates me because it's like they never fucking look. Like, and they're still doing talking points from 5-10 years ago.